Hey guys, so we have a update on a story that I did recently. So I actually waited a little while to do that story, and then this video came out shortly after, so I was like, might as well do them kind of close together so that we get the whole, picture. I'll link my Shyla and Landon video that I did in the description, just so it's like first line, you can get all the updates, and then come back to this one and you get his response. So just a little recap, just in case you don't want to watch the first one for some reason. Shyla and Landon are the Ace Austin from the Ace family has a brother called Landon, and Landon and Shyla are together. They're not married or anything, but they just have a child together, and they have a family channel just like the Ace family. A little bit less successful. That sounds so shady. I just mean like they're not as big as the Ace family, but they're still huge and they still make a lot of money. They recently split up, and Shyla took over the family channel that they had, deleted all videos on it, and just started fresh. Did like a quick 4-minute update, and then recently did a 45-minute expose of sorts, basically detailing the abuse, verbal, physical, mental, coming from Landon, the Ace family, the mum of Landon and Austin, and just like basically just a bunch of proof for restraining orders and unregistered guns and stalking, and just like a bunch of allegations that there was actually quite a bit of proof for, whether that's in like video format or just like the fact that she got a restraining order, and the fact that Landon has limited visitation rights to, see their daughter. Like, there's just a lot stacking up against him. And so all of that happened. And Landon posted his video, which is an hour and 15 minutes. And I could already from the get-go, like, tell you guys the lies that I could pinpoint. One of them was actually pointed out by Spillsesh. She did a video recently that I watched just after I watched his video. I like to watch other people's videos just to see if we're all kind of like thinking things together. And Spillsesh pointed out one lie that I will bring up when we get there in the storyline, but I found a few other ones that I was like, this just makes no sense. I'm not gonna obviously summarize his whole video, because then I would be doing an hour-long summary of his hour-long video, where if you want to watch his whole video you can. I'm just going to try to pinpoint the most important parts, and let's just get into it. Before we do that, subscribe, hit that bell, like, comment for engagement. Social media will be in the description along with anything else, and let's just get into it. So he calls her video defamation and slander, which she did provide a lot of proof. I don't know. Says that he didn't want it to get to this point, claims that he hasn't abused her, and that the pictures of bruising that she has kind of like here, he basically hints at her faking those, saying, well, there's a reason why her face is not in those pictures, as in like to say that she just like randomly found these pictures on the internet of like some other person or something. Yeah, but basically says that he has never abused her, even though there is a video of him saying that their relationship was abusive at first. There's like a clip of him saying that he was verbally abusive. So I don't know, tries to show her as the aggressive one, which doesn't prove anything. There are like clips of her maybe raising her voice, or when she was talking to Landon's mom getting frustrated, but it's never aggressive, or it's never like she's actually like threatening to do something to someone. It's more so just like she'll just be angry and she'll like huff and puff, but that is not the same as actually abusing someone. Getting frustrated in a conversation is not the same as physically, mentally, and verbally abusing someone. Like, I'm not sure what link we were trying to make there. Talks about the broken foot. So she said that when the alleged kidnapping happened, which if you guys don't know, allegedly Landon and his kind of videographer tried to kidnap their daughter from Shyla, and Shyla said that in that moment she was just really like, she felt really helpless because she had a broken ankle, and she was just like, yeah, my foot was in a boot. Like, I couldn't run away. I was trying to like get his phone and run away from him, and like I knew that if something happened, like I would not be able to defend myself. And he then tries to spin it, and instead of focusing on her being completely terrified of him to the point of having to like run away from him and be like afraid for her daughter's life and her life, he then spins it and is like, well, I didn't break her foot. I don't know why she's saying that. Like, I don't know why she said I broke her foot when it was a cosmetic procedure. Like, obviously I didn't break her foot. And it's like, you're focusing on the wrong side of the story. He's saying he didn't break her foot when she's saying I had a broken foot, and therefore I was scared that I wouldn't be able to run away from him if he tried to get aggressive with me. Like, whenever he tries to argue back a point that she's making, he just argues back the most minuscule, irrelevant part of the point and part of the story, instead of arguing the actual abuse part, the fact that she was terrified of you. Anyway, claims that Shyla assaulted him 3 times in one night. So he has like this video of his neck having like some redness on it, which I can't, like, if I'm going to believe her word, I should also then believe his word. And if she did assault him, that's obviously not okay. The same way him abusing or assaulting her is not okay. He shows this video and shows messages that he sent to her mum, basically saying like, your daughter assaulted me, and she said, I'm sorry, like I don't know what's going on, I'll call her. So that's his side of kind of what happened. He said that she assaulted him 3 times in one night, and yeah, so he has messages to Shyla's mum about the situation. He talks about the cancer sympathy situation. So she mentions in her video that because he was diagnosed with cancer, the cancer wasn't fatal. It's cancer nonetheless, like obviously not downplaying cancer, but it wasn't one where there was a high chance of him dying. And she said that he did everything in his power to almost not make it better. He would not take medication, he would not show up to, appointments, and then he would take out his aggression on her and then blame on his cancer. So he would basically abuse her verbally, physically, mentally, and then be like, well, I have cancer. So as if that excuses abusing someone else and causing trauma to another human being. So she mentions how essentially he would use his cancer as an excuse for abusing her. And she called it using cancer for sympathy, almost like I know I abused you, but like feel bad for me. He then spins the story again and says that what she was talking about was how they would clickbait his cancer on their channel, and that she was almost like forcing him or encouraging him to use his cancer for sympathy, to make money, because she told him that she was the only one making money for covering the bills and stuff, and that she told him that at some point he's gonna have to get back into work, so he felt pressured to clickbait his cancer on his channel. But that is not a point that she made. That is not the point she made. She made the point of, you abused me and then used your cancer as an excuse, but you also refused to work, even though you were fully capable of working, which means all financial pressures fell on me. Like, that's the point she was making. There was 2 separate points there, and he just and threw the point out. Just threw it out the window and then just addressed a whole different fucking point. I'm at a loss for words, actually. I was watching this video and I was like, that is not the point she made. And I watched her video twice. I was like, maybe, am I understanding her point wrong? No, I don't think I am. Anyway, let me know, like, watch her video and then watch his video. And let me know how you're interpreting things, because I feel like this is just how I'm interpreting things. Obviously, my opinion's subjective and all that good stuff. So if you want to have your own opinion, watch her video. Then immediately after, watch his video. And then leave a comment down below kind of like with any lies that you can pinpoint as well. Then addresses the fact that she said that she took care of everything, and that includes financially, bills, employees, his boxing career, funded everything essentially. And he says that that is a lie, because they had a chef, they had a security guard, and they had a nanny, which means that somehow any work that she did automatically gets downplayed because they had some help from the outside world. I find this very, I don't know, I hate to throw the word around, but just like very misogynistic, because I feel like there's always like this pressure on women to be a good like employee, worker, like have a successful career while also being like a super successful mom, and there's just not enough hours in the day to do all of that. So if she was working full time, then of course she's going to need help with the kid, the house, the everything. That does not mean that she did any less work. She just delegated work because she only has 24 hours in a day. And also, another thing, you guys having a chef, security guard, and nanny doesn't mean you did any more work. Like, that just means she did less work than she claimed. You still haven't proven that you did any work. So, like, either way, she did work, the chef did work, the security guard did work, the nanny did work. You haven't proven that you did any work. So either way, she was still taking care of you. She was just paying other people to help her with it. Then we find out literally 2 minutes later that the nanny that he was talking about that they paid was actually an aunt that he had, like a family member. And I don't know if you guys had the same life as me, but I was taken care of by family members. I don't think that then downplays the role that your parents play in your life. Like, parents will a lot of the times have like a grandparent take care of their child, like an aunt or like a cousin or someone. She was then fair enough to actually pay the aunt because usually family members just do this stuff for free. She actually got paid for it. But that also just does not make Shyla any worse of a parent or mean that she put in any less work or effort into the house. And I don't know what point he was trying to make here, actually. You can tell, I'm just confused as to what point we're trying to make here. She's saying, I did work, you didn't do work. You're saying, we had all these people to help. But that doesn't prove that you did any work. So either way, you just didn't do any work. Oh my God. They obviously split up while the aunt is still working for them. The aunt then gets fired because she doesn't want to sign an NDA. He's like, I don't understand why you need an NDA. Like, if you were so aware of like your privacy, you should have signed an NDA like from the get-go. But no, you were all family. So she didn't see the need for an NDA. You guys then split up, so the aunt then stops being Shyla's family, and Shyla then says, well, as an employee and not family, I would like for you to have an NDA because I'm now split up with the guy that you are more inclined to side with. So I'd love to have an NDA. Like, he makes these really odd points, and I feel like it's because he has a child audience. They have a very young audience that will just like eat up anything he throws their way. So I feel like he's making these very shitty points in the hopes that his young audience won't call him out for it. So then Shyla sent like a really mean text to family, and he's like, I don't know why you would do that. And he focuses on the insults that Shyla is throwing at the family instead of focusing on what Shyla said at the start of the message, which is the kid came home with a mark on their neck and said that the aunt did it. So like, she was like, look, if you're trying to punish my child in a way to punish me, then you're XXX, X, Y, and Z. Like, she threw some insults in there. Were they nice? No. But was it probably justified in her head? Yeah. Like, if your kid comes home with an injury after hanging out with someone who clearly doesn't like you, you're gonna be a little bit skeptical. He claims that he's not a bad dad because she wanted another baby with him. First of all, she was clearly in an abusive relationship. Well, allegedly. Allegedly, she was in an abusive relationship. A lot of the times, people don't realize they're in abusive relationships until they get out or someone else kind of brings, you know, it up to them. So she was probably aware of the relationship not doing that well, but she was probably just willing to stick it out with you, and she probably wanted a second child. So did you want her to go cheat? And like, she probably loves her child. Like, she puts a lot of effort into, you know, having a family and stuff. She probably knows that you don't help much, but she's probably okay with the fact that she's doing this like single parenting thing. So she probably wanted a second child because that was probably something that she wanted, and she didn't want to not be with you. So the only really option there is to have a kid with you. But now that she's not with you, she can go have a kid with someone else. Wanting a second child with someone doesn't really mean that they're a good parent. It just means we're together, I want a second child, I'm willing to take care of both kids, even if you're not willing to put in the effort. Because she's clearly financially capable of taking care of 2 kids, even on her own. Did you want her to cheat on you and do a kid somewhere else? Have a kid somewhere else with someone else? I don't know. Talks about the kidnap and says basically it's false, but like doesn't provide any proof. He's like, it's false, I would never kidnap my child, and then just like provides no proof for it. Then tries to also do the same thing for Shyla being a breadwinner. He says that any money they made was from the channel, and that's basically their joint money, which like, yeah, sure. But if you're not putting in any work and she's the only one putting in work, then even though it's a joint channel and it's a joint bank account, technically she's the breadwinner because she's the one working for the money while you're being lazy and making excuses. Once again, if the cancer diagnosis was, you know, difficult and it was giving him a hard time, absolutely that should have been the time where he didn't have to work. But I think Shyla did mention that even after everything was fine, everything cleared up medically, he was still not willing to put in the work. So at that point, he's just making excuses. Then they had a meeting after the alleged kidnap where the mum looks super manipulative and honestly super like really almost gaslighty, and then Shyla gets frustrated and he says that is like aggression and that she's being the aggressor, and that if you were being abused you wouldn't put yourself in the situation, which a bunch of victim blaming, a bunch of like all of that stuff that I'm just not here for. But he also says that he's very lucky that he has this footage because Joe was actually filming them outside and then set the camera down and left it running. But what Spillsesh had pointed out, which I didn't catch when I was watching the video, was that he's mic'd up. He is mic'd up under a blanket that he's wearing, and I was wondering like, oh, why does he have this blanket on? Like, isn't LA really hot? He has this blanket on because he's probably covering the mic so that Shyla can't see that he's filming her. So he's mic'd up because you can hear the blanket like rubbing against the microphone. So he's quite clearly doing this with the intention of making her look crazy. So they're like purposefully remaining calm while also gaslighting her and making her act out and lash out to then post this on his channel to make her look like the aggressor once again. And he had actually threatened her at the end of the video to basically say that he's going to release the whole meeting footage, which I'm assuming is because they probably riled her up more during the meeting, gaslighted her, you know, made her feel insane until she lashed out, and then are going to use that to be like, look, we're the calm ones. She's, you know, the aggressor, even though he's literally mic'd up and doing this on purpose. So in Shyla's video, she said that during the meeting, he was like smiling at her in like a really evil way, and he's like, no, I wasn't, you can see from this footage that I wasn't, and it's literally like his whole face is like covered up by something that was like in the way. So I'm like, how did you add that into the video, edit that into the video, and you can't see your face. Like, you, while editing, you should have seen like, oh, you can't see my face, I'm not even proving my point, I'm just chatting shit, like I'm not proving my point at all. Oh my god. He also calls her slamming her hands down on the table as aggression. She basically she held up her head and then she slammed her hands down on the table, and he was like, that is aggression. Like, she's have you never like had a conversation where you just like let your hands go and they just like slam on the table because you're so like tired of the conversation? No. Then we have the 2 guns situation. So she said that he had 2 guns. One was registered, one was unregistered. And then after the meeting, after everything happened, both of the guns were missing. He had taken them, so she filed a restraining order, which she then got because of the unregistered gun. He then basically says, so this whole time he was saying, no, I only have 1 gun, I have 1 gun, they're all registered, whatever. Now he finally admits that 1 gun was registered, 1 was unregistered, because he was just holding onto it for someone for a month, and that he had then given it back to them. Interesting. Shyla in her video talks about how terrified she was of staying in the house, as she had like, you know, security check the house. He then finds an email of her wanting to extend her lease by 30 days and uses that as an excuse for her not being abused and not being terrified of her life, because why would you want to extend your lease if you're terrified to stay in the house? But if he had watched the video, if he had actually watched the video, he would see that she had already addressed that in the video before he even made the point. It's like, what's the point of your fucking point? Oh my god. She said in her video, if you had just listened, maybe just have like a lawyer look over stuff. You're just not intelligent enough to do this. That's just a rude motorbike outside. Have a lawyer look over this stuff. Have someone watch these videos for you because you're just not making any good points. She said in her video that you guys took all the cars away from her, the Range Rover, the McLaren, I'm pretty sure there was another car. You took all the cars that you guys had away from her. She had no cars to get around and go to places to rent out a different place, so she had to stay in that place. She said in her video, I had no way of tagging a kid along with me and go to these house viewings, so I had to stay in this house even though I was terrified. Anyway, besides the point. Then he mentions Shyla's dad, who she's kind of got a very toxic, estranged relationship with, so I'm not even going to mention him. Like, he's been going up against Shyla and siding with the McBrooms, and she mentions that he has a history of, you know, substance abuse, mental health issues, and that it has just never been a good relationship. He then uses a video that she did as proof that her relationship with her father is good, which was a who knows me better, my boyfriend or my father. Maybe she was just trying to have a good relationship with her father before she realized that it wasn't making sense. You can't use that as an excuse. You can't use that as an explanation for her lie, which isn't a lie. She's saying she doesn't have a relationship with her father, so she doesn't have a relationship with her father. I don't know what. Anyway, then he does the threat at the end with the footage. That's that whole video. Let me know if you guys caught any other lies, any other kind of like, you know, missteps in the situation. Like, just let me know if you catch anything that I didn't catch, or if you interpreted something differently from me. That'll also be really interesting. Like, subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.